We get a lot of stories here at the Deep Dive, but this one from Wren about her RV trip to Lake Foss Point, it really got to me.
Yeah, it's a vivid one for sure.
Yeah.
What we have is Wren's own account of a camping trip that was supposed to be peaceful and quiet, and quickly turned into something really unsettling. And we're not here to say whether what Wren experienced was real or imagined, but to really kind of dig into the layers of the story and try to understand it based on what she told us.
Yeah, I mean, even before she got to the park, Lake Foss Point State Park in Louisiana, she'd heard this podcast. And even the name of the podcast is kind of a red flag.
Right.
Like, warning, never go RV camping in these places. And they specifically talked about Lake Foss Point and this eerie atmosphere and, those Louisiana swamps and cypress trees. And it sets the tone for something that's not going to be a relaxing trip.
Right. And I think it's important to point out that this particular podcast, focuses on anecdotal accounts of these kinds of events, things that happen in remote natural locations.
Yeah. So it's very much in line with what Wren seems to have experienced.
Yeah. And then, she's 29 years old. She's got this RV, a 2014 Coachman Leprechaun named Reeds.
Mm-hmm.
And she's looking to get away from her job. She's a bartender.
Sure.
And it's just a lot of chaos. And she wants to get away from people and she wants to get away from the noise and just be out in nature.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that, wanting to get away from it all.
Exactly.
And so, she heads out to Lake Foss Point, seeking some peace and quiet.
But even before that, she has this ritual almost, or like a talisman.
Okay.
She puts her cousin's dented silver harmonica on the dashboard.
Oh.
And her cousin had told her, "It'll sing you safe, Rennie." So it's this little detail, but it really speaks volumes about what she was hoping for on this trip.
Right. It's almost like a subconscious acknowledgement of potential dangers.
Exactly.
Or maybe a need for protection.
It's interesting that you mentioned the harmonica, Christina, because it makes me wonder, do you think these personal rituals can sometimes make us more susceptible to suggestion in these kinds of situations, when we're feeling stressed or vulnerable?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I mean, it definitely establishes a connection to the past.
Right.
And maybe a sense of vulnerability that you wouldn't necessarily have otherwise, especially when you're in a place that's already so isolated and unfamiliar.
That's a good point.
But the first night she gets there, it seems pretty calm. It's raining. She's parked near the bayou. It's kind of strange atmosphere, but almost soothing in a way. She's got her coffee. She's looking at the Spanish moss, listening to the sounds of the swamp. It's almost like the calm before the storm.
It's a familiar setup, isn't it? You see it a lot in these kinds of stories.
Yeah.
And then there's that first sign that something's not quite right, the sudden and total silence.
Right, like no crickets, no rustling leaves, just the rain.
Exactly, just this heavy, oppressive silence. And it's that absence of the expected that really starts to get under your skin.
Yeah, because it's like what should be there isn't. And that makes you wonder what else might be lurking in the shadow.
Right. It's like your senses are on high alert waiting for something to happen.
Yeah. And it doesn't take long for something to happen. She's trying to ground herself. She starts sketching the cypress trees.
Okay.
And then she hears her nickname, Rennie, soft and wet, coming from the bayou. And this is significant because it was her deceased cousin's nickname.
Right. So it's not just a random sound. It's deeply personal and impossible.
Exactly.
Because her cousin's gone.
Right. And then she hears it again closer this time, like it was creeping through the reeds, and that's when the real fear starts to set in.
The bayou, which was initially this source of calming natural sounds, is now a source of dread.
Right. And she tries to rationalize it. She records it on her phone, thinking it must just be the rain or something. But when she plays it back, it's clear as day. Rennie tangled in this low, gurgling hum.
So that audio evidence, even if she's trying to explain it away, must have been really unsettling for her.
Absolutely. And, as someone who analyzes these kinds of accounts, what do you think is the significance of having that kind of captured audio in a personal narrative?
Well, I think it moves it beyond just a feel, it's perceived as this objective evidence that something strange is happening.
Right. Even if the origin of the audio is unclear.
Exactly. And that's when things start to escalate.
Yeah, she starts checking the locks on reeds. That basic need to secure her personal space.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like enough anymore.
And then there's the harmonica, her cousin's harmonica, which she finds on the floor, even though she didn't touch it. And when you consider the podcast's warning about Lake Foss Point listening and don't call back, it's like the environment is interacting with her through these personal items.
Right. It's like the lake is acknowledging her presence, maybe even responding to it. And then she finds the park map, and it's marking this old abandoned fishing camp. And there's a note on it about haunted calls in 85. And they don't quiet down. So now it's like there's this historical dimension to her experience, suggesting that this isn't an isolated incident.
Right. It makes you wonder if the park itself has some kind of history or memory of these events.
Yeah, it's like the place itself is haunted.
And then the night gets really bad. She can't sleep. The rain is pounding on reeds, rocking the RV. And then the wind-up lantern, another object linked to her cousin, starts flickering. And this raspy voice says, "You're not alone."
Okay, that's a direct threat. You know, it shatters any remaining sense of security she might have had.
Yeah, things get even more physical. The sketchbook slides off the table. There's a loud splash outside, like a body breaking the surface.
So it's not just sounds anymore, it's actual events.
Right, and she tries to escape. She starts the engine, but it dies. The lights go out. Her phone loses signal, and the battery's dying. It's like Reed's is being held captive.
She's strapped. Yeah, and she yells, "Leave me." And the bayou gurgles back. It's like this moment of communication with whatever's out there.
Chilling.
And then it shifts from auditory to visual. The motion light comes on, and there's this slumped, slick figure on the bank with glowing eyes.
So now she's seeing it.
Yeah, it's no longer just sounds and feelings. There's something physically there.
And she calls her friend Sage, but the call gets cut off. She hears, "Ren, I'll get the Rangers," and then static.
So she's completely alone.
Totally isolated.
And then she hears 3 quick taps, her cousin's signal.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is personal sound, but now it's associated with something sinister. And then she sees that wet, still shape at the water's edge. And it's like, it's taunting her.
It's like it knows what that signal means to her.
And then she finds Rennie scratched into the wood under her bunk.
Yeah.
And it's damp and slimy, like whatever's out there is now inside her space.
Annihilation.
And then the knocking turns into raking scratches on the side of reeds, like it's trying to get in.
So she grabs the flashlight and the tire iron.
Yeah, she's ready to fight back.
She's not going down without a fight.
And she holds the harmonica and screams, "I'm not yours." And the scratching stops for a moment, like it's acknowledging her defiance.
And then she goes outside with a tire iron.
Yeah, she's terrified, but she's also angry.
And what does she see?
The bank is all scarred with claw marks leading into the bayou, and something long and dark surfaces in the water for a moment, but disappears before she can get a good look.
So there's definitely something out there.
And then back inside, the light feed starts playing on its own, and this deep, watery voice says, "You brought me back."
Oh, wow. So it's like she triggered something by coming to Lake Foss Point.
And then she remembers her cousin's stories about swampers vanishing after hearing their names called. And the figure returns, this time slamming into Reed's claws, breaking across the roof.
It's relentless.
And she looks in the reflection of the harmonica and sees herself pale and terrified with this hunched figure behind her, inside Reed's.
So it's not just outside, it's inside too.
And the lantern flares up, even though it's not cranked. And this voice says, "You'll never breathe free," and she smashes it.
Like she's trying to break free from whatever's holding her captive.
And then in the morning, Reed starts up normally like nothing happened.
But the ordeal isn't over.
No. She finds bayou muck and webbed claw prints around her bunk back home.
So it followed her.
And the last phone clip shows her sketching, and there's this shadow behind her hissing Rennie.
It's like it's attached itself to her.
And she has these faint algae slick scars on her wrists.
Like a physical reminder of what happened.
Yeah, and she starts researching Lake Foss Point and finds out about a camper who vanished in 85 and all these stories about carvings and watchers and names scratched into things.
So her experience isn't unique.
And Sage confirms that the CB radio was down that night, and she says she heard her own name called out in the swamp.
Wow, so other people have experienced strange things there too.
And the harmonica sometimes drips water, even though it hasn't been near any water, and the tire iron is notched, like it hit something really hard.
It's like these little reminders of that night keep popping up.
Yeah, and Ren has changed. She flinches at wet sounds. She sleeps with the window shut.
The trauma lingers.
And then she finds a cypress twig under her door with Rennie scratched on it.
It's like it found her again.
She burns the twig, but then it starts to rain, and she hears Rennie whispered through her wall.
Oh my God.
So we're left with this question: what happened to Ren at Lake Foss Point?
Yeah, was it a combination of environmental factors, stress, and misinterpretations, or was it something truly unexplained?
What do you think, listener? Let us know in the comments.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more stories like this.
Yeah, give us a Like, if you found this story as unsettling as we did.
We love hearing your theories and thoughts about these cases, so please share them with us in the comments.
And it leaves us with this final thought. Could some places hold on to echoes of the past? And if so, what kind of attention might those echoes draw?
It's a chilling thought.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
Okay, so we've got another deep dive to go through today. And this one is a real humdinger.
Oh, yeah.
You know those stories that just get under your skin and you can't stop thinking about them?
Ones that make you double check the locks at night.
Right, exactly like that. So this one comes from a guy named Milo. And let me tell you, his account is, well, let's just say it's a wild ride.
Sounds intriguing.
Oh, it is. It is. So it all starts with this saying that his grandpa always used to tell him, the bayou takes what it wants. Kind of sets the stage, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely a bit ominous. Makes you wonder what kind of experiences led to that saying.
Right, like it's not just a casual warning, you know?
Uh-huh.
There's like a weight to it, generations of something passed down.
Like a folk wisdom, almost a respect for the power of the place.
Exactly, and you can definitely feel that respect, or maybe it's fear in Milo's story. So Milo's in his late 20s, and he's got this RV he calls Gator, a 2009 Fleetwood Discovery. Pretty sweet ride.
Nice classic.
Yeah, and he's got the travel bug, you know, loves to hit the road and explore. So he's looking for a new spot and stumbles across this forum post about Lake Faust Point State Park in Louisiana.
Okay, and what's so special about this park?
Well, that's the thing. The forum post is actually full of people saying to stay away.
Oh, really?
Why is that?
They're calling it haunted. Straight up saying it's got a bad vibe and weird stuff happens there.
So naturally, Milo's like, sign me up.
Haha, pretty much.
Yeah.
Most people would be like, nope, not going there.
But Milo's curious, you know, and the description of the park really gets to him. They're talking about RV sites right in the heart of the swampy wilderness, cypress trees everywhere.
I could see the appeal. I mean, there's something alluring about those kind of places.
Yeah.
You know, where nature's just raw and untamed.
Yeah, like a challenge almost. Like he wants to test those warnings, see for himself.
There's a certain personality type that's drawn to that edge, isn't there?
Totally, and Milo definitely seems like one of those people. So he heads down to Lake Faust Point, gets all set up right near the edge of the bayou, and wouldn't you know it, a rainstorm rolls in. Classic.
Right, like it was just waiting for him. Now, the way Milo describes it at first, it's actually pretty peaceful. He's watching the rain on the moss, feeling the whole rhythm of the swamp, you know.
It was like that calm before the storm, though, right? The tension's building.
Yeah, big time. And then it gets weird. All of a sudden, everything goes silent.
Silent. How do you mean?
Like all the usual swamp sounds, the insects, the birds, even the water lapping at the shore, it all just stops. Dead quiet except for the rain and this faint sloshing sound he could barely hear.
Okay, now that's creepy.
Right. And Milo's trying to rationalize it, you know, to telling himself it's just a storm. But then he hears it clear as day, his nickname, me,
Coming from where?
the Bayou. And it's not just some random voice. He says it sounds exactly like his grandpa who passed away a few years back.
No way.
That's chilling.
I know, right? He even says he was so startled he knocked over his beer. That's how real it felt.
Wow. So what does he do?
Well, it happens again. This time closer, and he says it sounded like it was dragging itself through the mud.
Okay, that's seriously creepy.
Yeah, and now Milo's freaking out. He starts talking about this lifelong unease he's had about the bayou, you know, like something lurking beneath the surface.
A primal fear kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he does what any of us would probably do in that situation. Grabs his phone and starts recording.
Trying to capture evidence.
Yeah, and like talking to himself on the recording saying, it's just the rain, trying to convince himself.
What's on the recording?
Oh, that's the worst part. When he plays it back, there's his voice saying, it's just the rain and the sound of the rain, but underneath it all, there's my again. But this time, it's all distorted and mixed with this deep, guttural growl.
Like something inhuman.
Exactly. Like the voice is being pulled through the mud and water.
God, that would make me never want to go near a swamp again.
Right, but here's the thing. It doesn't end there. The whole creepy vibe follows Milo home. He finds bayou mud caked inside his RV like someone tracked it in.
Hold on. How is that even possible?
Oh, I know, right? It's like it hitched a ride. And then he finds something even weirder.
Yeah.
These huge webbed claw prints all around his bunk in the RV.
Claw prints. Are you serious?
Dead serious. Like something was circling him while he slept.
This is getting way too freaky.
And it gets worse. Later, he finds another phone clip on his phone. But he has zero memory of recording it.
What's in the clip?
It's just a few seconds long. He's hunched over a magazine in the RV, and there's this dark shadow looming over him, and you hear this raspy voice hissing, My again.
No way. That's terrifying.
Yeah, and then he starts noticing these faint, slimy scars on his arms, and he remembers seeing similar marks near the water's edge at the lake.
Like something touched him.
Exactly. It's like the bayou itself left a mark on him.
So what does Milo do after all this?
He starts digging into the history of Lake Foss Point, trying to find some explanation, talking to locals, researching online, anything to make sense of what happened.
And does he find anything?
He does. He starts hearing these stories about a camper who vanished back in '84 near an old hunter's blind. The blind was apparently covered in these strange warnings about unseen watchers.
Unseen watchers. That's
Yep.
creepy.
Right, like something's always watching you from the shadows. And there are all these other weird details, too. People talking about strange carvings high up in the cypress trees, reports of shadowy figures lurking in the woods, names scratched into places that seem impossible to reach.
Sounds like there's a whole lot of weirdness going on at this lake.
Yeah, and it's not just stories either. Milo talks to his cousin Lena, who had her own scary experience near the lake a few years before.
What happened to her?
She was near the lake and she heard someone calling her name from the swamp, but when she looked, there was no one there. And get this, the night it happened, she tried to call Milo on her CB radio for help, but it wouldn't work.
That's messed up.
I know, right? And the thing is, Milo was trying to call her that night too, but couldn't get through. Like something was blocking their communication.
That's seriously unsettling.
And all this stuff, it's not just fading memories for Milo. He's got these physical reminders that keep him on edge.
What do you mean?
His grandpa's tobacco tin, the one he always keeps with him, it's always been dry, but now he says it sometimes feels damp, like it's been submerged in water.
And the tin's never been near water.
Nope, never. And then there's his machete. He's positive he never hit anything solid with it, but the edge is all chipped now.
It's like the bayou is reaching out to him even after he left.
That's what it feels like. And it's messing with him big time. He says he flinches at every little wet sound and sleeps with all his blinds shut.
I can't blame him. That's some serious trauma.
Yeah, but the most disturbing part is yet to come.
There's more.
Oh, yeah. One morning, Milo finds a cypress root lying under his front door, and carved into the root are the letters M.I., his nickname.
Wait a minute. That's too much of a coincidence.
I know, and the root is damp and muddy, like it was just pulled from the bayou. When his cousin Lena sees it, she freaks out. Says it reminds her of something she saw during her own encounter.
This is insane. It's like whatever was at the lake followed him home.
Right. They even tried to destroy the root, burning it, smashing it. But then the final straw happens. A few weeks later, during another rainstorm, Milo hears "my" again, but this time it's coming from inside his house, like through the wall.
So it's still with him?
Apparently so. It's like whatever it is, it's attached itself to him now.
This whole story is just bone-chilling.
I know, right? And it really makes you think about the power of places, like some locations just hold a different energy. Something ancient and maybe even dangerous.
And the stories we tell about those places, how they shape our experience.
Exactly. Like maybe those warnings from Milo's grandpa weren't just stories. Maybe they were a way of trying to protect him from something real.
And what about those physical reminders? The damp tin, the chipped machete? Those are hard to explain away.
Right. It's like the line between the natural world and something else. Something we don't understand. It's a lot thinner than we think.
Milo's story is definitely a reminder that there are still mysteries out there, things we can't explain or control.
And sometimes those mysteries, they find a way of coming home with us.
Makes you wonder, what else is lurking out there in the shadows, just waiting to be discovered, or maybe waiting to discover us?
And on that note, we're going to leave you to ponder that thought. But seriously, folks, be careful out there, and maybe think twice before you head into any haunted swamps.
You never know what might be calling your name from the darkness.
Until next time, stay curious, but stay safe out there.
Okay, so you guys sent us some seriously creepy stuff for this deep dive.
Yeah, this one's intense.
Yeah, and I'm ready to get into it.
Me too.
So this is a first-hand account from someone named Eden about an RV trip
Okay.
that went really, really wrong.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to try to unpack it together.
Absolutely.
So this is her personal narrative about a trip to Lake Foss Point State Park in Louisiana.
And this place, it already has like a spooky reputation.
Yeah, even before you hear Eden's story, it's like, Lake Foss Point.
Yeah, right away we're going somewhere kind of eerie.
Exactly.
Well,
So she's 27 years old.
okay.
She's embracing the RV lifestyle
Nice.
in her 2017 Thor Quantum,
Right.
which she named Bayou.
Makes sense.
And she was just looking for a break from, the daily grind,
Sure,
the
yeah.
9 to 5.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. She chose Lake Foss Point after seeing a YouTube video that warned people against camping there.
Because of spooky stuff.
Yeah, because of like all these weird happenings.
So she's like drawn to it.
I know, it's kind of like a reverse psychology thing.
Totally. Yeah, like a moth to a flame.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though it's like, don't go there.
Right.
It's haunted.
Yeah, and there's something about the Louisiana swamp, you know, the cypress trees,
Right, yeah.
the murky bayous, that's just like a magnet for people.
Absolutely. It's beautiful, but also...
Like beautiful and terrifying at the same time.
Definitely.
Yeah, and even before anything really spooky happens, we learned about this detail about Eden.
Okay.
She has this ritual of placing her deceased sister's
Oh, wow.
braided swamp grass bracelet on the dashboard of her RV.
Interesting. Okay.
And her sister, Sis,
Okay.
gave it to her when Eden was only 17 and
Oh.
said, it'll tie you to me, Edie.
Ah.
So it's like this really strong symbol of connection, you know?
Yeah, especially as she's heading into this isolated place.
Yeah, going into the swamp alone.
Right.
With this like reminder of her sister.
And that bracelet, we'll see, it kind of becomes a recurring thing throughout her story. Like a really important object.
Okay, so the first night starts out pretty normal.
Okay.
Raining, you know.
Typical Louisiana.
Yeah, she parks near the water.
Okay.
And at first she finds the sound of the rain kind of eerie, but also soothing.
Sure.
You know, it's like that white noise.
Yeah, yeah.
And she settles into her routine, like ramen for dinner, journaling.
Okay, so just like a normal camping night so far?
Exactly. But then things start to get really weird. So she describes this sudden shift in the atmosphere.
Okay.
Like all the normal sounds of the swamp, the birds, the rustling reeds.
Right.
They just stop.
Completely.
Yeah, it's just silence.
And silence in nature can be really unsettling.
Oh, yeah, it's way creepier than any kind of noise.
Totally.
And then she hears her nickname,
Okay.
Edie. And it's soft, almost a whisper.
Like someone's right there.
Yeah. And she describes it as dripping,
Dripping.
like the sound is coming from the bayou.
Okay, now that's scary.
Yeah. And it's not just any voice. It's her deceased sister's voice.
Oh.
Someone who'd been gone for 4 years.
That's terrifying.
I know. And to hear your dead sister's voice calling your name.
Especially in that setting.
I know, in the swamp at night.
Yeah, it's like something out of a horror movie.
I know, and it gets even worse.
Oh, no.
It happens again.
The voice.
Yeah, Edie.
Uh-huh.
But closer this time.
Oh.
Like it's moving through the water towards her RV.
So it's getting closer.
Yeah, and this brings back all these childhood fears for her.
Right. Of the bayou at night.
Yeah, like what's lurking in the dark.
That primal fear of the unknown.
Exactly. And so she's trying to find a rational explanation.
Of course.
So she grabs her phone and starts recording.
Maybe to prove it's real.
Yeah, or to try and debunk it.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's just the wind or something.
Oh,
And she's
yeah.
muttering to herself. It's just the rain.
Trying to convince herself.
Yeah, trying to stay calm.
Right.
But then she plays back the recording. And it's not just rain. It's her sister's voice, clear as day, saying Edie. But this time there's this low gurgling hum along with it.
So now it's like evidence.
Yeah, it's not just in her head.
Right. It's been captured.
It's on her phone.
This is where it gets really real.
Yeah, and her dread just skyrockets.
Totally understandable.
So she checks all the locks on her RV,
Makes sense.
like that primal instinct to secure your space.
Yeah.
And then she notices something else really strange.
What's that?
Her sister's bracelet, the one she put on the dashboard,
Yeah.
it's now on the floor.
Okay, that's creepy.
Yeah, and she's sure she didn't touch it.
So things are starting to move.
Yeah, and that YouTube warning she saw.
The one about the park?
Yeah, it must have been echoing in her mind.
Like a premonition?
Totally like Foss Point calls you back.
Don't answer.
Don't answer.
Yeah, suddenly it's not just a silly internet story anymore.
Right, and she's freaking out, so she grabs the park map.
Maybe to get her mind off things?
Yeah, or maybe looking for some kind of explanation. And what she finds is even more unsettling.
What is...
There's this abandoned fishing shack marked on the map,
Okay.
and it says it was deserted in 1987.
A long time ago.
Yeah, after reports of strange voices.
So there's a history here.
Yeah, and there's this handwritten note on the map.
What does it say?
They don't fade.
Oh, God, that's so ominous.
I know, it's like this warning from the past,
Yeah, like this has been happening for years.
and it's not going to stop.
Nope.
And as the night goes on, it just gets more and more intense.
So it gets worse.
Way worse. The rain is pounding on the RV,
Okay.
and she turns on her sister's old wind-up radio.
For comfort.
Yeah, just for like this static white noise.
Right.
But then even that gets all messed up.
Weapons.
The static starts warping and distorting.
Oh, no.
And then another voice cuts through. You're not alone.
I'm my God.
Yeah, and it's so creepy because it's like this confirmation
That something's there.
that she's not alone.
Chilling.
And then there's a loud splash right outside the RV.
Oh, God, like right next to her.
Yeah, and it sounds like something big hit the water.
Okay.
I'd be terrified.
Oh, totally. And at this point, she's got to get out of there.
Yeah.
So she tries to start the engine.
Yeah.
It won't start.
Oh, no.
And the lights inside start dimming.
Even though the battery's good.
Yeah. And her phone loses signal, and the battery's draining super fast.
So she's completely cut off.
Totally trapped in the storm with whatever's outside.
That's a nightmare.
I know, and she's desperate, so she yells out the window,
What does she say?
"Leave me."
And what happens?
The bayou seems to gurgle in response.
Oh, God, that's so creepy.
Yeah, like it's mocking her.
Like it hurt her.
Exactly. And then the motion-activated light outside comes on,
Okay.
and she sees it on the live feed from her phone. This figure standing on the bank.
What does it look like?
It's slumped over, all wet from the rain.
Uh-huh.
Its head is tilted at this weird angle.
Okay.
And its eyes are just fixed on her RV.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and they gleam in the darkness.
That's nightmare fuel. I know. And she's completely freaking out. So she grabs her CB radio.
Could call for help.
Yeah, she manages to get a message out to her friend Cal back in Lafayette.
Okay.
And she's like, Cal, I'm at Lake Foss Point. Something's here. Help.
Does he hear her?
He hears part of it. Like, she hears him say something about getting the Rangers.
Okay.
But then the signal cuts out.
Just static.
Yeah, so she's completely alone again.
That's terrifying.
And then she hears this knocking.
On the RV?
Yeah, 3 quick taps. Tap, tap, tap.
Okay.
And she immediately knows what it is.
What is it?
It's her sister's old signal.
From when they were kids.
Yeah, like when Sis would sneak back into the house late at night,
Yeah.
she would knock like that.
Oh, wow. So it's like a personal thing.
Yeah, and it's so messed up because
Yeah.
it's taking this like sweet childhood memory
Right.
and twisting it into something terrifying.
Totally.
And she's frozen with fear, but she has to look.
So she looks out the window.
Yeah, and she sees this wet, still shaped by the water.
So something's definitely out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and then she does something almost without thinking.
What's that?
She checks under the bunk.
Like a kid hiding.
Yeah, and that's when she finds it.
Finds what?
Her name Edie, scratched into the wood.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it's damp and slimy.
Like something dragged its claws across it.
Exactly, and the sounds outside get even worse.
We're just how?
The knocking turns into these violent scratching sounds.
On the RV.
Yeah, like it's trying to get in.
Oh, God.
And she remembers something her sister told her,
What's that?
to push back against fear.
Don't let it control you.
Yeah, so she grabs a flashlight and a crowbar.
A crowbar.
Yeah, she keeps it in the RV for emergencies.
Okay.
And she screams out the window,
What does she say?
I'm not yours.
Wow.
Yeah, and the scratching stops.
Just like that?
Yeah, it's silent.
That's almost scarier.
Yeah, and then she decides to go outside.
To confront whatever's out there.
Yeah, she has to see.
So she steps out of the RV.
Yeah, and the air is so thick and heavy.
She's like, you can cut it with a knife.
Yeah, and it smells like algae and rot.
The swamp.
Yeah, and the figure's gone.
Wow.
But there are these huge claw marks in the mud.
Leading to the water.
Yeah, and then she sees something.
What is it?
Something long and dark.
In the water.
Yeah, just below the surface.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then it's gone.
So she runs back inside.
Yeah, she locks the door and tries to calm down.
But it's not over.
No, it's not over at all.
What happens next?
So she's sitting there, and the live feed from her phone comes on.
The motion sensor?
Yeah, but she didn't trigger it.
So something else did.
Yeah, and then she hears that voice again.
The same one?
A low, watery voice, and it says, you brought me here.
Blaming her.
Yeah, like it's her fault.
Oh, wow.
And she remembers that YouTube warning and all those local stories about people disappearing.
Right.
And it's like, this thing is targeting her specifically.
Because she came to the lake?
Exactly. And then the figure comes back.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it starts slamming against the RV.
Trying to break in.
Yeah, and the RV is actually shaking.
Oh, my God.
So she grabs the crowbar and swings it at the wall.
Yelling at it to go away.
Yeah, and then claws rake across the roof.
Like it's right above her.
And this horrible wail fills the air.
This is insane.
I know, and then she catches a glimpse of something in the reflection of her sister's bracelet.
What does she see?
Something behind her inside the RV.
But when she turns around,
There's nothing there.
something's inside with her.
But she can't see it.
That's terrifying.
And then the radio comes on.
But it's not plugged in.
No, it's a wind-up radio, remember?
Right.
And this voice crackles through the speaker.
Say.
You'll never leave.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and she just smashes the radio.
To silence it.
Yeah, she can't take it anymore.
So what happens then?
Dawn breaks.
Finally.
Yeah, the rain stops.
Oh, okay.
And somehow her RV starts.
So she escapes.
Yeah, she gets out of there as fast as she can.
But the experience stays with her.
Oh, yeah. It follows her home. When she gets back to Lafayette, she finds bayou mud and these massive webbed claw prints inside her RV.
So it got inside,
Yeah, and the prints are all around her bunk.
like it was standing over her while she slept.
And then she finds this phone clip that she doesn't remember recording.
It's on the clip.
It shows her writing in her journal, but there's this dark shadow leaning over her.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's hissing her name, Edie.
Like the thing from the bayou followed her home.
Yeah, and then she starts getting these weird scars on her arms,
What do they look like?
like long scratches.
Like claw marks.
Exactly.
So this is beyond psychological.
Yeah, like whatever was at the lake.
It left a mark on her.
A physical mark.
Try and make sense of it all.
Yeah.
And she finds all these stories about missing people and strange carvings on trees.
So other people have experienced this too.
Yeah, and there are all these reports of callers in the bayou.
Callers.
Yeah, things that call your name.
And lure you in.
And then she talks to her friend Cal. The one she called on the CB.
Yeah, and it turns out Cal had his own weird experience at Lake Fells Point years ago.
Really?
Yeah, his CB died for no reason, and he swears he heard his name on the wind.
So it's not just her.
No.
It's like the place itself is doing this.
Yeah, and the effects on Eden, they don't go away.
So she's still dealing with this.
Yeah, her sister's bracelet sometimes feels damp even when it's dry.
That's creepy.
And the crowbar she used to defend herself, it has these notches in it now.
That weren't there before.
Yeah, and she's constantly anxious, especially when it rains,
Understandably.
and she can't sleep without the lights on anymore.
So it's really affected her life.
Yeah, and then the final straw,
What happened?
she finds a swamp vine under her door.
in Lafayette.
Yeah, and it has her name scratched into it.
Edie.
Yeah, and she shows it to Cal, and he freaks out.
You recognize this?
Yeah, he's like, we need to get rid of this.
So they burn it.
Yeah, they burn the vine.
But does that stop it?
No, because a few days later during a rainstorm,
Uh-oh.
she hears it again.
The voice.
Yeah, Edie, through
Yeah.
her bedroom wall.
So it's still with her.
Yeah, low and watery like it's waiting.
Oh my God.
That's Eden's story.
That's intense.
Yeah, it's a lot to process.
It really is.
And there's so many questions.
Like, what was that thing?
Yeah, what was calling her name?
And why did it follow her home?
Yeah, and what does it mean for a place to know your name?
That's a creepy thought.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder about all those local legends.
Right? Are they just stories?
Or is there something more to them?
And what about Cal's experience?
Yeah, that's the thing that really gets me.
It happened to him too.
Years before Eden.
So it's like a pattern.
Yeah, like the lake itself is calling people back.
And maybe keeping them.
It makes you think twice about going to these remote places.
Right. You never know what's out there.
Or what knows your name.
Exactly.
So think about that next time you're planning a camping trip.
Be careful out there.
And maybe don't answer if you hear someone calling your name.
Especially in the swamp.
Especially at Lake Fells Point. Ever had one of those trips, where you plan to just get away from it all, relax, and it turns into something, well, anything but relaxing?
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, well, imagine this. You're RV camping in the Louisiana bayou, and things start to get, well, a little weird.
A little weird.
Yeah, more than a little weird, I'd say.
Okay, you've got my attention.
That's what happened to Finn, one of our listeners, at Lake Fells Point State Park. And his story is exactly what we're going to be diving deep into today.
I love it when you get these firsthand accounts. It's like a whole different level of creepiness.
Right. You never know what you're going to find.
Yeah. And usually we're, poring over articles, old research papers, that sort of thing.
Right. The usual.
Yeah. But today it's Finn's firsthand account of a camping trip gone very, very wrong. And I mean...
Yeah, it's a doozy.
It is. We're going to try and unpack exactly what happened to him based on his story and nothing else.
Just Finn's experience. No extra speculation, just the facts, and see what we can figure out.
Exactly. Let's get those aha moments for everyone listening without, getting lost in the weeds.
So, a little bit about Finn. He's a 33-year-old mechanic looking for a little peace and quiet.
Who isn't?
Seriously. And he thought he'd find it in his, get this, 2011 Tiffin Allegro he calls Drift.
Drift. I love it. That a ring to it.
Right, it's got character.
Yeah. And I mean, who wouldn't want to drift through the Louisiana bayou in an RV?
I'd be down for that, except for, the whole turning into a nightmare part.
Right. Well, there's always a catch.
Always. But here's the thing. Finn actually picked this particular spot in Louisiana, partly because of a blog post he read with, get this title, Warning, Never go RV camping in these places.
Oh, no.
Right.
That's not exactly the kind of travel blog I'd be following.
Yeah, a little ominous.
Yeah.
Right. And it listed all these supposed cursed or haunted places. And of course, Finn being Finn,
Yeah.
initially just brushed it off as, spooky stories for clicks.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, we've all seen those kinds of articles, right?
Yeah. Totally. But it's always in the back of your mind, though, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you're out there alone in the middle of nowhere.
Especially in a bayou. I mean, come on.
Right. So he gets to Lake Fells Point State Park, and the setting is, your classic Louisiana swamp picture. Cypress trees rising out of the water, Spanish moss hanging everywhere.
Oh, I can practically hear the banjos.
Yeah.
It's got that whole vibe to it.
Totally. But what's interesting is how Finn describes the atmosphere when he first arrives.
Yeah.
He talks about this raw, almost primal beauty, and the sound of the rain, which can be peaceful, but also kind of isolating at the same time, especially in a place like that.
Yeah. And he's there alone, making chili in his RV, settling into this, what seems like a tranquil environment.
It does, but then he mentioned something that I thought was really interesting. He says there was this unusual stillness in the bayou.
Like too quiet.
Yeah, too quiet. Like, you'd expect to hear the sounds of the swamp, right?
Yeah, the frogs, crickets, alligators, the whole, symphony of the swamp.
Exactly. But Finn said all he could hear was the rain and this like faint gurgling coming from the water, almost like the bayou itself was holding its breath.
Oh, that's creepy. That sends shivers down my spine just thinking about it.
Right. It's like, makes you wonder if that silence itself was a kind of warning.
Yeah, like something was about to happen.
Well, something did. Something definitely did.
Oh, I bet it did.
So Finn's in his RV, doing a crossword puzzle, trying to relax, and out of nowhere, he hears his nickname, Finny.
Finny.
Yeah, Finny.
Okay.
But he describes it as low, wet, almost like it was coming from the bayou itself, which is creepy enough on its own, right?
Oh, yeah, super creepy.
But here's the really unsettling part. It sounded like his deceased father's voice.
Whoa. Okay, that's a whole other level of unsettling.
Right. It gets worse.
It gets worse.
It does. So Finn mentions this old fishing lure his dad gave him.
What kind of lure?
It was just a tarnished spoon with a red feather, nothing fancy, but it was his dad's and it meant a lot to him.
I get it. Sentimental value.
Exactly. And his dad used to call him Finny. And he'd always say that lure would hook you safe, keep him safe.
That's kind of sweet.
It is. But get this. Right when Finn hears this voice calling his name, the lure falls off the dashboard.
No way.
I know, it's like the past, embodied in that memory, and the physical object was reacting to this sound.
That's a little too much of a coincidence, don't you think?
Way too much. And it's just the beginning.
Oh, boy.
A few minutes later, the whisper, that Finny, comes again, but this time it's closer.
Even closer, like right outside the RV.
Yeah, like right there. And Finn's freaking out, obviously.
Oh, I'd be terrified.
So he grabs his phone and starts recording, thinking maybe he can debunk it, right? Like maybe it's just the wind or the rain playing tricks on him.
Trying to rationalize it.
Exactly. But when he plays the recording back, it's not just the natural elements. There's this distinct sound of Finny again, but this time it's layered with what he describes as a low, sloshing growl. He even says it sounded like a voice dredged from the swamp's belly.
Ugh, that's a disturbing image.
It is, right?
Yeah, it's like something straight out of a horror movie.
So what do you think about this progression from the whisper to this growl mixed with his nickname?
I don't know. It's like whatever it is getting bolder, Or maybe it's revealing its true nature, like it's shedding a disguise.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, at this point, Finn's scared. He's really scared.
I bet.
So he does the logical thing. He checks all the RV locks.
Smart move.
Yeah. But then, and this is where it gets really weird, that fishing lure, the one that fell earlier, that he'd put back on the dashboard,
Yeah.
it ends up hooked into the carpet across the RV, not just lying there, actually hooked into the carpet.
How is that even possible?
I have no idea. It's like defying gravity.
And logic, it's like the laws of physics just took a vacation.
And it's at this point that blog post warning, the one he dismissed, comes flooding back.
Never go RV camping in these places.
Well, there was another line in it that really stuck with him. It said, Lake Faust Point holds grudges. Don't linger.
Oh, that's not good.
It's not. And it's like, the environment itself is echoing this feeling of unease that he's experiencing.
Right, like the blog post was some kind of premonition or something.
So Finn's trying to figure out what to do. He pulls out a park map, probably looking for an escape route. And near the marked location of an old trapper's lean-to, abandoned since '89.
Since '89, that's a long time.
It is. And it says, after lost tracks, whatever that means, someone had scrawled on the map, They don't let go.
What the heck does that mean?
Right. It's like the whole landscape is covered in these little ominous breadcrumbs.
Like a trail of creepy clues.
Exactly. What do you think about the lean-to and that message? They don't let go.
I don't know. It's like this place has a history, and it's not a good one.
Right. And whatever happened to those trappers, it might be connected to what Finn's experiencing.
Okay, I'm getting the creeps just thinking about it.
Well, it gets worse, of course.
It always gets worse.
So night falls, the rain's still coming down hard, rocking the RV, and Finn's trying to get some sleep, but he can't, obviously.
I wouldn't be able to either.
So he tries to find some comfort in his dad's old wind-up clock, cranking it for that familiar ticking sound.
Oh, that's nice.
It is. But even that turns sinister because the ticking starts to warp, becomes uneven, and then a voice seems to emanate from the clock, and it says, "You're not safe."
Oh, come on, a talking clock.
I know, right?
That's just wrong.
And then things escalate, physically this time. Inside the RV, his bowl of chili, which was sitting on the counter, slides off and smashes on the floor.
Like it just slides off on its own.
That's what he said, and then he hears this heavy, slow, thumping sound coming from outside the RV.
What do you think that was?
I don't even want to speculate. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it's like something's trying to get in.
Maybe. So what do you think the effect is of these increasingly bizarre events happening inside the RV, inside Finn's supposed safe space?
I mean, it's got to be terrifying, right?
It is. And it's like whatever it is playing with him. It's messing with his mind.
Yeah, psychological torture.
Totally. So at this point, Finn's had enough. He's like, I'm out of here.
Oh, I blame him?
No way. So he rushes to the driver's seat, tries to start the RV, but it just sputters. The engine coughs and dies.
Oh, no. Classic horror movie trope.
I know, right? And then, to make matters worse, the lights in the RV flicker and go out completely. He's in total darkness.
Oh, man, I hate the dark.
Me too. And to make matters even worse, his phone loses all signal and the battery just drains, instantly.
No, he's totally cut off.
He is. Totally isolated. In the dark, in a disabled RV, surrounded by this creepy swamp.
I'd be curled up in a ball sobbing.
I probably would too. But Finn, he does something unexpected. He shouts out into the darkness, "Leave me alone."
What happened?
He says the bayou seemed to respond with this mocking gurgle, like it was laughing at him.
Oh, that is so creepy.
It is, right?
Yeah, it's like the swamp itself is alive,
Yeah, and it's not friendly.
Not at all. It's like something out of a nightmare.
So then comes a visual confirmation of something out there.
Oh, no, I don't want to hear this.
His motion-activated light, the one he'd set up outside, flashes on, and he frantically checks the feed on his phone.
Yeah.
And there, at the edge of the bayou, is a figure.
What did it look like?
He describes it as lean, slick, and disturbingly, its eyes glint like wet amber in the darkness, staring directly at the RV.
Oh, that's chilling. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
It is, right. It takes things from just creepy sounds and moving objects to an actual visible presence.
Yeah, now there's no denying it. Something's out there.
And it's watching him.
That's the worst part, knowing you're being watched.
So, desperate for help, Finn tries his CB radio, calls his buddy Jace back in Shreveport.
Did he get through?
Barely. The message is garbled, breaking up before Jace can fully respond.
No, that's like the worst possible thing that could happen.
It is. It leaves Finn feeling even more isolated, more trapped.
I bet it's like whatever's out there is preventing him from getting help.
Yeah, this very disturbing thought.
Very disturbing.
And then the knocking starts again. Not frantic this time, but two slow, deliberate thumps. Thump, thump. Yeah, and Finn realizes with this dawning horror that was his dad's specific signal when he'd returned from fishing, like their secret code.
Oh my God, that's awful.
It is right. It's like whatever's out there knows about him, knows his past, knows how to push his buttons.
That's just cruel. It's like it's playing with him.
Totally. And then he sees a mud-slicked figure moving outside his window, retreats from the window, terrified, and that's when he discovers the word Finny scratched into the wooden table.
Scratched into the table.
Yeah, damp and slimy like it was done with a muddy claw.
Oh, God, that's disgusting.
And the knocking outside escalates into aggressive scratching all over the sides of the RV. Finn's clutching his father's fishing lure like a talisman.
Poor Finn. He must have been so scared.
He was absolutely terrified. So what does the use of his father's signal mean?
I don't know. It's like whatever it is not just some mindless creature, you know?
Right.
It's intelligent, it's aware, it knows how to manipulate, how to instill fear.
Yeah, it's a terrifying thought.
It really is.
So at this point, Finn decides he can't just sit there and be a victim. He's got to do something. anything.
Fight back.
Yeah, so he grabs his flashlight, a tire iron, his makeshift weapons.
Not much of a defense against a swamp monster.
No, not really. But he holds up his father's lure, too, like a shield, almost. And he roars, "I'm not yours."
Wow, brave Finn.
I know, right? And the scratching stops, just like that, replaced by this thick, unnerving silence.
What did he do then?
He consciously ventures outside, tire iron raised, into the dark and rain.
Oh no, I wouldn't have gone out there.
He was desperate.
I guess so.
So he gets outside, and the air is heavy and foul, he says, like something stagnant had been stirred.
Ugh, that sounds awful.
Yeah, the figure's gone. But his flashlight catches deep claw marks in the mud, leading down to the edge of the bayou. And he even sees a glimpse of something long and dark surfacing in the murky water.
He saw it.
Just a glimpse. He retreats back inside, locks the door, checks the motion light feed again. This time, the recording plays on its own, and a deep, sludgy voice, different from the whisper, says, "You woke me up."
Oh God, that's so creepy.
It is, right? It's like
Yeah.
this confirmation that there was a consciousness out there, a
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
that was maybe sleeping or something, and now Finn's woken it up.
Not good.
Not good at all. And that blog post warning flashes back into his mind. Lake Foss Point never forgets.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like that blog post was more than just a spooky story.
Right. And it's like whatever's out there, it remembers, it holds grudges, and it's not letting go of Finn.
This is turning into a real nightmare.
It is. And then things get even worse.
Worse? How is that even possible?
Something slams violently against the side of the RV, claws rake across the roof, a guttural wail echoes through the rain. And then, in a truly unnerving moment, Finn sees his reflection in the tarnished surface of the lure, pale and scared.
Yeah.
But he also sees something coiled and dark behind him inside the RV.
Inside the RV.
He spins around, heart pounding, but finds nothing.
Oh God, that's terrifying.
And then the uncranked clock, which should be silent, ticks loudly and speaks again. "You'll never swim free."
What did he do?
Finn, at his breaking point, smashes the clock.
I can't blame him. That's just too much.
It's too much. It's like the psychological torture is relentless.
And the physical attacks too. It's like it's trying to wear him down.
Exactly. Break his spirit.
So what happened next?
Well, finally, dawn breaks, the rain eases to a drizzle, and miraculously, the RV starts normally.
Thank goodness.
I know, right? Finn doesn't waste any time getting out of there.
I bet I'd be flooring it out of that swamp.
But here's the thing. The experience doesn't end when he leaves the park.
What do you mean?
Back home in Shreveport, he finds bayou, muck, and wide, webbed claw prints circling his bunk inside the RV.
Inside the RV. But he locked it, right?
He did. And there's more. There's one last phone recording on his device that he doesn't remember making.
What's on the recording?
It's mostly static, but then a faint, shadowy figure looms over the camera, and a raspy voice hisses, "Finny!"
No way. This is getting too weird.
It is. And then, perhaps the most disturbing part, Finn discovers faint algae-like scars on his arms in the same pattern as the claw marks he saw by the water's edge.
Oh, God. So it did get him.
It seems like it's like whatever he encountered, it left its mark on him, physically and mentally.
That's just awful. So what did Finn do after all this?
Well, he started digging into the local history, trying to make sense of it all.
Makes sense.
He heard whispers about a camper who vanished near that abandoned lean-to back in '89, with strange carvings found on the cypress trees nearby.
So it's not just Finn. Other people have experienced weird stuff out there.
Apparently. And there are these local reports of lurkers in the bayou, unsettling stories of names being scratched in places where the swamp shouldn't reach.
Like supernatural graffiti.
Yeah, kind of. And get this, his buddy Jace, the one he tried to reach on the CB.
Yeah.
Jace admitted that his radio mysteriously went dead that night, and that he himself once heard his name called in the swamp near Lake Foss Point years ago.
Wow, so it's not just a one-time thing? This has been going on for a while.
It seems like it, and it makes you wonder how many other people have had similar experiences but haven't said anything.
Probably a lot. People don't want to sound crazy.
Right, and who would believe them?
Exactly, until it happens to you.
So the entire ordeal has obviously had a lasting impact on Finn. He flinches at the sound of running water, constantly checks his surroundings, sleeps with the fan on for the white noise.
PTSD from the swamp.
Yeah, I guess so. And it gets worse. He found a swamp reed inexplicably placed under his front door with Finny crudely scratched into its surface.
Oh no, it followed him home.
That's what it seems like in the most recent event he shared with us. During another heavy rainstorm, he heard that same low whisper of Finney again, but this time it seemed to be coming through the wall of his house.
It's still out there, and it knows where he lives.
That's the implication, and it's a chilling thought, isn't it?
It is. It's like there's no escape from it.
So there you have it, Finn's incredibly unsettling, terrifying account. From the initial feelings of unease in a strangely silent swamp, to a direct confrontation with something he couldn't explain.
And the lingering aftermath, the feeling of being watched, the fear that it's not over.
Exactly, and we focus solely on his narrative, the details he provided. What do you make of it?
I don't know. It's a lot to process.
It is.
I mean, it's definitely a compelling story and deeply unsettling.
It is. It makes you think about, the power of suggestion, the intensity of fear when you're isolated and vulnerable in nature, the role that local stories and beliefs can play in shaping our perceptions.
Absolutely. But then there are those details, the physical movement of objects, the recorded voices, the potential physical marks that seem to push beyond simple psychological explanations.
Right. It's like there's something more going on here, something we don't fully understand.
And it makes you wonder, what is it about certain places, certain environments that seem to attract or harbor these kinds of phenomena?
Yeah, and why do they seem to target specific people?
I don't have the answers, but it definitely gives you something to think about, doesn't it?
It does. It makes you question what we think we know about the world.
And what might be lurking just beyond our understanding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for everyone listening, Finn's deep dive into the unsettling, it might spark your own thoughts about the unknown. Maybe it'll lead you to explore the local history and folklore of places you visit.
Yeah, do some research before you go camping. You never know what you might find.
Right.
And think about the very real psychological impact of feeling vulnerable and isolated in natural environments. That's a big one.
It is. It can really mess with your head.
And maybe, just maybe, it'll even prompt you to reflect on any strange or unexplained occurrences you might have experienced yourself in the wilderness.
Because you never know. Maybe you've had a brush with something you just didn't recognize at the time.
We all have those stories, right?
We do. And maybe some of them are more than just stories.
That's a thought to ponder.
It is. And as we keep coming back to Finn's family saying, the bayou remembers, it leaves us with this final thought.
Yeah.
Perhaps certain places on this earth do hold echoes of the past. Energies or entities that can manifest in ways we don't fully understand, forever bound to the landscape.
And occasionally reaching out.
To those who venture into their domain.
That's a chilling thought.
It is. And on that note, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Finn's unsettling encounter.
Until next time, sleep tight, everyone.
If you can.
Yeah, if you can. Okay, so you know you're here because you like to get right into things.
Right to the heart of it.
Yeah.
You get into something that's maybe complex or a little overwhelming.
And find out what's fascinating about it without all the fluff, right?
Exactly, without getting too bogged down.
Yeah, and I think we've definitely got that today.
Definitely do.
We're driving into a truly eerie personal experience.
Yeah, and when we say personal, like we really mean it.
Right.
Like forget, dry reports or academic studies.
Yeah.
Our source today is like raw and firsthand.
Yeah.
And deeply unsettling.
It is. Yeah, you've shared with us these excerpts from Piper's account of an RV trip to Lake Foos Point State Park in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And this is not your typical travelogue, right?
Yeah. No, I don't
This
think.
is where the peaceful getaway
Right.
takes a very dark turn.
Very much so.
So our mission on this deep dive is to unpack Piper's experience piece by piece.
Yeah.
Explore these strange details and really try to understand
What might have been happening out there.
what might have been happening out there in that Louisiana swamp.
Louisiana swamp, exactly.
So let's immerse ourselves in the setting.
Okay.
So Lake Foos Point State Park.
Yeah.
It's nestled near St. Martinville, Louisiana.
Beautiful spot.
Yeah, and Piper paints such a vivid picture.
She does.
Like this landscape of swampy wilderness, ancient cypress trees rising from the still bayou waters.
Yeah.
And it just creates this naturally haunting atmosphere.
Yeah, you can almost feel the stillness, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. You can just feel it like seeping out of the page.
Yeah.
And here's a detail right away that kind of makes you pause.
Oh, yeah.
Before Piper even sets off on this trip,
Right.
she mentions coming across an online warning.
Uh-oh.
And it's blunt.
Okay.
It just says, warning, never go RV camping in these places.
Wow.
And even more specifically, it says, Lake Foos Point waits show, don't stay too long. It's the kind of thing that, you'd probably scroll past, just
Yeah.
kind of internet hyperbole,
Exactly.
But still, it's there.
It plants a seed, though, doesn't it?
It does.
It's like this undercurrent of unease even before the experience begins.
Right, and that's kind of what makes it so unsettling is that it's like this warning that's sort of just out there.
Exactly.
So Piper arrives in her RV,
Okay.
which is affectionately named Moss.
I love that.
It's a 2015 Forest River, Georgetown,
Okay.
and she has this really touching ritual
Okay.
where she places her deceased brother's pocket watch on the dashboard at the start of every trip.
Okay.
And he gave it to her and he said, "It'll keep you on time, Pip."
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's such a small detail, but I think it speaks volumes about her connection to him.
Yes.
And maybe this desire for his presence or protection.
Yeah, like a talisman almost.
Yeah.
It's a way to carry a memory with her.
Right.
A connection to someone she's lost.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because
Yeah.
we'll see how this seemingly comforting object
Right.
becomes intertwined with the unfolding strangeness.
Yes.
So that first night she gets there,
Yeah.
and it actually sounds quite peaceful initially.
Okay.
Rain starts falling steady rhythm on the roof of Moss.
Yeah.
She's parked right at the edge of the bayou.
Okay.
Describing this water as having this dark, glinting quality through the mist.
Mookie.
I know. And she even says, there's this feeling of being out in the wild, but also this sense of calm.
Yeah.
She's making soup. She's watching the rain on those iconic cypress trees.
Yeah, it's like idyllic almost. Like
Yeah.
the perfect escape.
But then Piper notices something
What's that?
that breaks that peaceful image.
Oh.
A profound silence.
Oh.
No frogs croaking.
Oh, wow.
No rustling in the vines. Just the sound of the rain.
That's creepy.
And a faint gurgle from the water. And for anyone who knows anything about swamp environments,
Yeah.
that lack of the usual sounds would be
Deeply unsettling.
deeply unsettling.
Yeah, it's the absence of the expected
Yes.
that can be the most jarring.
Absolutely. And it's that feeling that something isn't quite right.
Exactly.
So later on, she's journaling,
Okay.
which seems to be her way of processing her thoughts.
Yeah.
And she hears it.
Oh, no.
Her nickname,
Oh, no.
Pip.
Oh.
Soft and wet.
Yeah.
And she says it sounded like it was bubbling right up from the bayou.
Oh, my gosh.
What makes this truly chilling
What?
is that it sounds like her deceased brother's voice.
Oh, no.
That just sends shivers down my spine.
That's a deeply personal sound.
Right.
So intimately connected to a loved one.
Yeah.
To hear it coming from this, mysterious and potentially threatening environment.
Right.
Like the psychological impact of that alone would be enormous.
Oh, absolutely.
It taps into like grief and memory and the uncanny.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not a one-time thing.
Oh, gosh.
It happens again, Pip.
Oh, no.
And this time it sounds closer.
Oh, God.
As if the source is actually wading through the shallow water.
Oh, my God.
And Piper admits to always having a fear of the bayou.
Oh,
She clarifies it's not its beauty,
right.
but what could be lurking beneath the surface.
Yeah. I feel like.
So that childhood fear is very clearly being triggered by this sound.
Absolutely.
And in a very human reaction, this desire to understand or perhaps even disprove what she's hearing.
Yeah.
Piper records the sound on her phone,
Okay, interesting.
and she's expecting to capture the rain.
yeah, just ambient noise.
Just the ambient
Yeah,
noise, but when
okay.
she plays it back,
Yeah.
she hears Pip again,
Oh.
clear but distorted,
Oh, wow.
tangled in a low gurgling hiss.
Oh, God. That is a sound that would be incredibly disturbing to revisit.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And it's at this point that things start to move beyond just unsettling sounds.
Yep.
She checks every single lock on Moss.
Yeah, poor.
That sense of being unsafe is escalating.
Absolutely.
And then the pocket watch.
Yeah.
That constant reminder of her brother, that object of comfort,
Yeah.
is found off the dashboard lying face down on the counter.
Oh, no.
And she hadn't touched it.
Oh, wow.
So now we've got a tangible shift, right?
It's no longer just what she's hearing, right?
Right.
The environment seems to be interacting with her physical reality now.
Exactly.
And I imagine that online warning about Lake Foss Point waiting, don't stay too long, would be echoing in her mind.
Oh, absolutely.
The much more ominous resonance now.
Yeah, and the unsettling details just keep accumulating.
Oh, God.
She's looking at her park map,
Yeah.
and she notices an old hunter's shack marked nearby,
Okay.
noted as abandoned back in 1986
Okay.
after something called Lost Whispers.
Lost Whispers.
And someone has scrawled a warning on the map
Oh.
that just says, they don't move on. It's like the place itself has a history. It's a reputation for strange occurrences.
Yeah. What do you make of that phrase, Lost Whispers?
It's so evocative.
It is?
It suggests like fragmented sounds.
Yeah?
Like half-heard voices or echoes of past experiences that haven't quite faded away.
Yeah.
Maybe tapping into local folklore
Right.
or even just a community's shared memory of unsettling events.
Interesting.
It definitely reinforces this idea
Yeah.
that Piper's experience might not be isolated.
Right. Exactly.
So sleep becomes impossible at this point.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The rain is getting heavier.
Sure.
She's seeking some kind of familiar comfort.
Right.
So she turns on her brother's old wind-up radio.
Okay.
Just tuning it to static.
Yeah.
But even that small attempt at solace
Yeah.
is shattered when a voice cuts through the static
Oh.
that just says, "You're not safe."
Oh, no.
She even mentions her soup bowl sliding and spilling,
Oh, wow.
as if the environment itself is reacting to the sound.
It's like as if these benign elements,
Yeah.
the rain, the radio are being twisted, becoming conduits for this unsettling presence.
Right.
And the physical reaction of the soup bowl adds another layer,
Right.
like suggesting an actual disruption of the physical space.
Yeah, and that's what's so disturbing about it is
Yeah.
that it's like the environment itself is becoming malevolent.
Right.
So desperate to escape.
Yeah.
Piper tries to start Moss,
Okay.
but the engine just sputters and dies.
Oh, no.
The lights dim,
Oh,
and
my-
her fully charged phone battery
Yeah.
drains to almost nothing in an instant,
Oh, my God.
losing all signal.
So she's completely trapped.
Completely trapped and isolated.
Oh, gosh.
And she cries out into the darkness, "Leave me alone!"
Oh, my God.
And she describes the bayou seeming to respond with this like taunting, gurgling sound.
Oh, God. I bet that feeling of being utterly cut off must have been terrifying.
Oh, absolutely.
The failure of technology in these kinds of accounts is like a recurring theme, isn't it?
It is.
It just amplifies a sense of vulnerability. Like stripping away those modern safety nets that we rely on.
Right.
And it leaves her completely at the mercy
Yeah.
of whatever's happening around her.
Yeah, and so then the motion light triggers,
Oh,
and she checks the feed,
Yeah.
and she sees a figure on the bank,
Oh, no.
hunched and slick, with eyes that were glinting like swamp moss,
Oh, God.
and it's just fixed directly on her RV.
Oh, my God.
This is the first visual confirmation that something is definitely out there, and it is not normal.
That description is so unsettling.
I know.
Hunched and slick suggests something almost reptilian,
Yeah?
not quite human.
Yeah.
And those eyes glinting like swamp moss. Like, that's...
It's so specific.
It's such a specific, unnatural image.
Right.
And that unwavering focus on the RV
Yeah.
implies a deliberate intention.
Right.
A targeting of Piper.
Yeah, and it's so creepy because it's like, what is it doing just standing there? Like,
Right.
what is its intention
Exactly.
in a last attempt to get help?
Yeah.
She tries her CB radio to call her friend Rowan back in New Orleans.
Okay.
And the call breaks up.
Oh, no.
But Rowan manages to say something about getting the Rangers
Rangers.
before static cuts them off completely.
Oh, my God. Again, that sense of isolation is just reinforced.
Yes,
And the mention of Rangers is interesting.
it is.
Does it suggest that, like, maybe there's some local awareness
Right.
of potential dangers in the park beyond the usual wildlife?
Right.
We don't know for sure.
Right.
But it adds another layer of mystery
It does.
to this whole thing.
Yeah. And so then she hears a sound
Yeah.
that hits her on a deeply personal level.
Oh, no.
2 slow taps on the side of Moss.
Oh, God.
Her brother's old signal
Oh,
when he'd come back from fishing.
oh, my God. The mimicry is becoming more direct,
Yes.
more invasive,
Yes.
using something so specific to their relationship.
Right.
And that's clearly designed to elicit a specific emotional response.
Yeah.
Fear, confusion, and a sense of violation.
Yeah, and it's working. So she peeks through the blinds
Okay.
and sees a wet and still shape
Oh, God.
staring from the water's edge.
Oh, my God.
Unable to process what she's seeing, she retreats back inside Moss.
Yeah.
And then the truly disturbing discovery,
Huh?
the nickname PIP, scratched into the wooden table.
Oh, my God.
And she notes that it was damp and slimy, as if clawed by a muddy hand.
Oh, that's a direct intrusion into her personal space.
It
The
is.
physical defacement of her, temporary sanctuary,
Yeah.
combined with the description of it being damp and slimy, suggests that something organic,
Right.
something connected to the bayou itself,
Yeah.
has been inside her RV.
Yeah.
It's a violation and a clear message.
It is.
It's like, stay out.
Yeah.
This is my territory.
Yeah. And the sounds outside turn violent.
Oh, no.
The knocking becomes relentless, scratching, raking the sides of Moss.
Oh, my God.
And Piper, clutching her brother's pocket watch,
Yeah.
finally reaches this point where she feels like she can't just hide. Her brother's memory, that connection to him,
Yeah.
seems to give her a surge of resolve.
That pocket watch seems to act as this focal point for her emotions.
He does.
Initially comfort,
Yeah.
then maybe fear,
Uh-huh.
and now a source of strength.
Yeah.
And it's like a turning point where the victim starts to actively resist.
Yes. And so, armed with a flashlight and a machete,
Oh, wow.
she holds up the pocket watch
Okay.
and yells out into the darkness, "I'm not yours."
Wow.
And incredibly, the scratching stops.
Yo, wow.
For a brief moment, there's just the sound of the rain.
It's like that act of defiance had some effect.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating that this assertion of her will
Yeah.
seems to have a direct impact.
Yeah.
It suggests a possible dynamic at play here.
Right.
Perhaps an entity that feeds on fear or passivity.
Right.
But as you said, the reprieve is brief.
It is very brief.
Yeah.
So she steps outside
Okay.
into the mud and this oppressive atmosphere.
Yeah.
And the figure is gone. But the muddy bank is torn up with clear claw marks,
Oh, wow.
leading straight into the bayou.
Oh, my gosh.
Her flashlight beam catches a ripple in the water.
Yeah.
And she sees something long and dark surface briefly before disappearing back into the depths.
Oh, my God.
So this is undeniable physical evidence now.
Right.
These aren't just imagined sounds or psychological experiences.
Exactly.
There's tangible evidence of something physical
Yeah.
and potentially dangerous out there.
And the description of something long and dark leaves so much to the imagination,
Well, yeah.
doesn't it?
So she gets back inside,
Okay.
and the motion light feed on her phone starts playing on its own,
What?
showing nothing but the empty bank.
Okay.
But then a voice comes through the phone's speaker
Oh, God.
saying, "You called me back."
Oh, my God.
Not her voice.
Yeah.
That same deep, watery voice she heard earlier. How is
Yeah.
that even possible?
It's like the technology is being actively manipulated now, twisted to deliver this incredibly menacing message.
Yeah, and the implication is chilling.
It is.
That her presence,
Yeah.
perhaps even her cry for help,
Right.
has somehow drawn this entity to her or
Yeah.
acknowledged its presence.
Right. And the online warning she dismissed earlier flashes back in her mind.
Yeah, of course.
You know, Lake Falls Point never lets go.
Right.
And suddenly her brother's old stories of swampers hearing their names called
Yeah.
and then just vanishing into the darkness don't seem like campfire tales anymore.
No, they don't, do they?
And then the figure returns,
Oh, God.
physically attacking Moss,
Oh, no.
slamming against the side claws, raking across the roof,
Oh, my God.
accompanied by this guttural animalistic wail.
Oh, my God. The attack becomes more direct,
Yes.
more violent.
Yes.
And that guttural wail contrasts with the earlier mimicry of her brother's voice, suggesting maybe different aspects or manifestations of this presence.
Yeah.
One is designed to lure, the other to intimidate. Yeah. And the most terrifying moment for me in her account is when she glances at the pocket watch
Yeah.
and sees her own reflection,
Yeah.
but with a crouched figure lurking right behind her,
Oh my God.
inside Moss.
No.
She whips around, swinging the machete, but there's absolutely nothing there.
Oh God. And then the unpowered radio crackles to life saying, "You'll never run."
In a desperate act, she smashes it.
Oh my gosh. The sense of being haunted, even within the confines of her RV,
I know.
it's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
That visual hallucination in the watch,
Yeah.
combined with the impossible functioning of the broken radio, suggests this complete blurring of the lines between reality and perception.
Right.
It really raises questions about Piper's state of mind under extreme duress.
Yeah.
But also the possibility of something truly beyond conventional explanation.
Right. And it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
you know, how much of this
Yeah.
is psychological and how much of this is something else. Her escape at dawn feels almost like a miracle.
Yeah.
Moss starts normally,
Oh, wow.
and she gets out of there as fast as humanly possible.
Good for her.
But back home,
Yeah.
she discovers more chilling evidence of the night.
What's that?
bayou muck and wide-webbed claw prints.
Oh, God.
Circling her bunk inside the RV.
Oh, my God.
And these are not the tracks of any animal she would expect.
So the physical traces left behind are significant.
Right.
They validate Piper's experience.
Yes.
Proving that this wasn't just a bad dream
Right.
or a trick of the mind.
Exactly.
And those webbed claw prints
Yeah.
are particularly intriguing,
I agree.
suggesting an amphibious creature.
Yeah. Something adapted to the swamp environment.
And there's one last fun clip
Oh, no.
that she didn't even remember recording.
Okay.
Herself writing in the dark with a shadow bending over her, hissing, "Pip."
Oh.
It's as if this presence lingered even within her personal space.
Right.
Even without her conscious awareness.
Oh, that's creepy. And then she discovers these faint algae slick scars on her arms.
Oh, no.
Mirroring the marks she saw by the water's edge.
Oh, my God. These physical marks on her body
know.
are incredibly disturbing.
It's terrifying.
It suggests a connection,
Uh-huh.
a lasting impact of the encounter.
Right.
It's as if the bayou or whatever she encountered there
Yeah.
has left a physical mark on her.
Yeah. And so afterward, she tries to make sense of what happened.
Yeah.
And local whispers start to surface,
Okay.
confirming the disappearance of a camper back in '86
Yeah.
near that abandoned shack.
Oh, wow.
And unsettling talk of waiters in the bayou who call out names.
Oh, my God.
With those names sometimes scratched where the swamp can't reach.
Oh, my God. That's terrifying.
And Rowan, her friend, confirms their CB radio failing that night,
Okay.
and then shares their own disturbing experience
Oh, wow.
of hearing their name called while kayaking near Lake Fouse Point.
Oh, God.
Something they'd never told Piper before.
So there's a shared unspoken history of strangeness in that area.
It seems so.
These corroborating accounts from locals and Rowan lend significant weight to Piper's narrative.
They do.
They suggest a pattern of unusual occurrences in this specific location,
Right.
hinting at like a local folklore
Uh-huh.
or understanding of something inexplicable inhabiting the bayou.
Right.
And that detail about waiters with scratched names is particularly chilling.
It is.
It implies this personalization of the threat,
Yes.
this way of like marking or claiming individuals.
So the pocket watch, her brother's pocket watch now sometimes feels damp,
Okay.
even when it's completely dry.
Wow.
The machete she used that night is chipped,
Yeah.
despite not hitting anything solid.
Oh, wow.
And Piper herself has changed.
Right.
She flinches at the feel of wet air. She
Yeah.
sleeps with salt by her bed,
Right.
which is a traditional folk remedy for protection against malevolent forces.
Right. These are the tangible after effects of a traumatic encounter, aren't they?
They
The way familiar objects are altered,
Yeah.
and how Piper's behavior is shifted,
Yeah.
speaks to the profound impact of this experience.
Yeah, and it blurs the line between the rational and the
It
unexplained.
really does.
And then a cypress leaf
Oh, God.
with PIP clearly scratched on it
No?
appears under her door back in her home in New Orleans.
Oh, my God.
And Rowan's reaction upon seeing it going completely pale
Oh, wow.
speaks volumes.
It does.
They had their own unsettling encounter at Lake Fosse Point.
Right?
Hearing their name called something they'd kept to themselves until seeing that leaf.
Oh, my God. The leaf is like a potent symbol.
It is.
A piece of the bayou brought to her home.
Yes.
A persistent reminder that she hasn't escaped.
Exactly.
And Roman's reaction underscores the shared fear.
Yeah.
And the reality of their own experience.
Right.
Validating Piper's terror.
Yes.
It suggests a deliberate act.
Uh-huh.
A continuation of the unsettling events beyond the physical location.
Right. And so this is what makes it so terrifying is that
Yeah.
it's no longer confined to the bayou.
Right.
It's followed her home.
Exactly. And the final ongoing detail, the most chilling of all, when it rains,
Yeah.
Piper still hears Pip through her wall,
I know.
low and watery.
Like it's still out there.
Like it's still out there waiting.
Still waiting.
That lingering presence.
Yeah.
The continued mimicry of that intimate nickname leaves us with a profound sense of unease.
Yes.
It suggests that whatever Piper encountered at Lake Fosse Point
Yeah.
is not easily escaped.
Right.
That it might have in some way attached itself to her.
Oh my gosh. So you've heard Piper's story.
I have.
This deep dive into a truly unsettling experience.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, this narrative really forces us
Yeah.
to confront the boundaries of what we consider real.
Right.
How do we interpret experiences
Yeah.
that defy logical explanation?
Yeah.
And how do our own personal histories, our vulnerabilities,
Uh-huh.
intersect with the mysteries that might exist in the world around us.
Right.
It makes you wonder about the unseen forces
Yeah.
that might be at play in certain locations,
Right.
places imbued with history and perhaps even sorrow.
It truly does. It makes you reconsider those fleeting feelings of unease you might have felt.
Yeah.
In a certain place, those sounds you can't quite explain,
Yeah.
and as the rain falls outside,
Yeah.
and you hear that soft patter against the roof,
Yeah.
perhaps you'll remember Piper's story and
Yeah.
that low, watery whisper,
Yeah.
still calling her name,
Oh my God.
Pip.
I think I need to go sage my house.
Yeah, I think we all do.